Hi, welcome to Ani Recapped. Today, I will explain a 2010 fantasy adventure called The Secret World of Arrietty. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. As the movie opens, we see a kid traveling to an old house where his mother used to live. As he arrives, he notices a cat acting strangely, as if it is looking at something hidden in the bush. For a brief moment he sees something that looks like a miniature human, but he thinks his eyes are fooling him and he enters the house. Then a small girl jumps out of the bush and runs towards the house, before that cat eats her alive. Her name is Arrietty, and she is a miniature human who lives there. She travels beneath the house, where her miniature house is located as well, underneath the pile of bricks. She goes inside and greets her mother Homily, who is angry because she went outside again. She tells Arrietty that the outside world where humans live is extremely dangerous. She reminds her that her uncle was eaten by a frog, and that humans are dangerous giants. Her father Pod then enters their home, dressed like he went on some kind of adventure. They speak at the table and the girl asks when she will go borrowing. Her mother says she is still unexperienced, but her father agrees to let her go borrowing that very evening. Everyone will be asleep, and the boy seems to be ill, so he does not present danger. The little family calls themselves the borrowers. They basically live in someone else's house hidden from them, and they occasionally steal human belongings that they need for their daily lives. In the evening the girl goes borrowing with her father. They travel through the house, hidden inside the walls. They are so small that the girl got attacked by a bug, but she scared it away. Arrietty notices a person, but her dad tells her that stealth is their #1 priority. When they enter the kitchen, father uses his skills to reach a sugar pot. He then calls for Arrietty to join him. She goes beneath the table to catch the block of sugar pod is lowering down. They pack the sugar and move on to find the tissue they need. Arrietty discovers a pin on their journey that is so large to her that she can use it as a sword. Her father is proud because that pin is now her first borrowing. Once again they enter the walls and travel through the house. They notice a group of rats, and Pod warns his daughter that they can be extremely dangerous. They reach a luxurious-looking room which is actually their size. Arrietty is simply stunned by the view and her father explains that it is a doll house. Humans play with it, so they must not steal anything from there. They then reach a bedroom, where a pack of tissues is visible. They approach it and start to pull a tissue out, but then the boy from the beginning is seen looking straight into Arrietty. His name is Sho, and this is his mother's old house. Arrietty hides behind the tissue, and then escapes with her father, since humans cannot be trusted. The boy tells her not to be afraid. He says his mother also saw miniature people when she was a kid, but Pod and Arrietty escape anyway, dropping a block of sugar on their way. They reach their mini house, and Pod lies to Homily that they needed to abort the mission, since his fleshlight gave them away. The following day, as she was chilling and playing with a bug, Arrietty notices a human approaching. It is Sho, and he leaves that block of sugar behind. Arrietty tells her parents what just happened, but her mother goes crazy, saying it was probably a trap, and that humans would now track the borrowers. She is afraid they will have to leave, and demands they leave that block of sugar where it is, and that they must stop borrowing for a brief period. Arrietty later once again checks the sugar block and notices a message beneath it. She decides to visit the boy. At her place, she checks her mother and father, and picks the right time to leave without them knowing. She climbs the house walls using ivy and reaches the boy's room. As she is resting, she sees a crow looking straight at her, but she thinks it is not a big deal. Sho is then alerted to her presence, and the two begin chatting. He asks about her family and she tells him she only came to say that they should be left alone. Sho asks her to reveal herself to him, but Arrietty refuses. That big crow then suddenly rushes towards Arrietty and tries to eat her. Sho rushes to scare it away and grabs the little girl to protect her. Then his maid called Haru arrives and punches the bird from the room. Haru gives him a suspicious look, telling him the crow acted really strangely, and leaves the room. He checks on Arrietty, but she is already gone. On her way back, her father locates her and tells her this is the last time she did something like that, and later he tells Homily they will probably have to find another house to live in. Haru then asks a delivery boy if he knows any good pest control companies around. She knows about the little people, and obviously she does not like them. In the evening, Sho has dinner with Haru and his aunt. They reveal how he has a sick heart, and he came to this house to seek peace and silence. He inquires about the doll house, and his aunt tells him it was his mother's house, made especially for the little people. She tells him how few generations of her family have been seeing little people around the house, but they never introduced themselves to any of them. Homily later has a chat with her daughter, and they talk about how it is unfortunate that they must leave this place. Pod then appears, injured and carried by another small man. His name is Spiller and he lives in the woods together with other small people. Pod was searching for a new place to live, when he twisted his ankle and Spiller saved him and brought him back home. Now, the family considers seeking shelter in the forest. He spends the day with the borrowers, and leaves in the evening. The following day, as Pod was talking to Arrietty about how their safety in the house has been compromised, their little house starts to shake. It seems like someone is attacking them, tearing their little home apart. But it was just Sho. He wanted to replace their kitchen with a more luxurious one from the doll house. He makes a switch but is surprised by Haru. She notices a piece from a doll house and becomes suspicious once again. Sho is then seen chilling behind the house, when he is approached by Arrietty. She came to say goodbye. They talk about the situation and he says he is sorry because it is all because of him. He tells the little girl how he has a sick heart, and probably will not live much longer. As they talk, Haru is seen watching them from the house. She goes inside and trips on a crowbar. She seems confused about it, so she checks the surroundings. The little house is then discovered in the closet. Haru sees frightened Homily and grabs her. She takes her to the kitchen and puts her in a wrapped jar. Homily is now trapped like a bug. Haru then calls the pest control service, and tells them she needs them but to set up a trap, not to kill. Sho then arrives back home, and Haru locks him in his room. Meanwhile, Arrietty notices her mother is missing, so she rushes to Sho for help. They both now go to the rescue but cannot escape the room, so they locate a different route through a nearby room. They reach the closet that leads to the tiny house, and notice Homily is gone. They search the house looking for her, but with no success. In the kitchen, Haru catches them in the act but she does not suspect anything. As Sho talks to her, he points Arrietty to the storage room, since it is the only room left. She immediately rushes through a small hole, and locates her mother in a jar. She sets her free and they run away. Haru then rushes out to meet the pest control, and at the same time Sho's aunt comes back home. Sho now acts quickly. He removes the tiny house, and puts that fancy kitchen back at its place. Aunt argues with Haru why she called the pest control and Haru joyfully tells her she has a proof of little people's existence. Aunt is taken to the closet, but the small house is not there. In the storage room, Mother is also gone, and at the doll house everything is again in place. She snaps, knowing it was Sho who removed all the evidence, and enraged makes a scene in front of exterminators, claiming she will catch little people next time. In the evening, we see a little family traveling to their new home. On their way they encounter dangers of the outer world. Arrietty stumbles upon Sho's cat, and it does not attack her. Instead, the cat locates Sho and leads him to Arrietty's location. Then we see the family getting ready to depart. Arrietty hears something and goes to investigate. It is Sho. He came to say goodbye. The two of them then exchange their last words, and thank each other for everything. Sho declares that he will survive the heart operation, because Arrietty gave him the reason to live. Hey, thank you for staying all the way till the end. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. It takes only a second but it means everything to us. Have a great day and see you in the next video.